Right now, we chat to Director of Media Monitoring Africa, William Bird, who joins us live via Zoom. Let's talk about this being a victory of media freedom. If you were to contextualize this for South Africans who have been following this case very closely, how would you summarize it?
Well, I guess it was a case of, there was a letter that was published by News 24, and former President Zuma decided to try and privately prosecute Karen Moore. So he went after a journalist in her personal capacity, not after the newsroom, and after the prosecutor, Billy Downer. Ourselves, Media Monitoring Africa, campaigned for freedom of expression, and the South African National Editors Forum joined with others as amici in the case, and we argued a couple of things that were then included in the judgment, and some of them are really significant for media freedom. In particular, the idea of what's commonly known as a slap suit, which are lawsuits that are brought to effectively try and silence and harass and try and prevent someone from either doing their job or from continuing in challenging something. And the important element of this particular case is that the court has found that, yes, what this was, because they had found it was an abuse of the legal process, they also found that it met the elements required for this to also constitute a slap suit. So not only was it an abusive process, not only did they, say unwarranted things and display a viciousness and one-sidedness in relation to Ms. Moore, it's clear that this was also a slap suit as well. So that is a really significant thing, and it extends our jurisprudence around slap suits.
And William, just between you and I, this essentially means that Karen Moore was almost dragged through court, essentially for doing her job.
I mean, that's exactly what the court said. They said there was no basis on which to bring this. The document was already in the public domain. The state had declined to prosecute. There was no good reason to do this. What the court does find is that they had they were the ones with a vendetta, in fact, against Ms. Moore. And so, yes, this was brought in order to silence and harass her, even though, it met the condition for slap, which is to say they didn't need to realize or think that they had much prospect for success. They just needed to bring it in order to apply further pressure. And we saw from some of the court documents that as a result of this, Ms. Moore was subjected to even more harassment and threats online and name-calling, her dignity being undermined, and, issues overtly gendered elements referring to in all sorts of unspeakable terms. She was subjected to that over a period of time.
And William, very broadly speaking, we've got a very contentious and somewhat volatile election period coming next year in South Africa. What does this mean for journalists moving forward?
So I think that what it does do is the court was also quite clear again around stressing the importance of media freedom, the importance of journalists being able to do their job. I think that the way that many of the clauses are framed is quite clear, that people that are going to try and pursue this are going to find themselves on the wrong end of an adverse cost order. I think importantly, though, this needs to act as a signal to any political party to say, what we need to be doing is standing with our journalists, whether we like them or not, or whatever, is immaterial. If you have a problem with a journalist, there are recognized avenues to pursue to get wrongs righted, and to look for remedies. There's the Press Council, Broadcast Complaints Commission. You can go to the civil court, go for defamation. If you don't want to pursue those other avenues, there are lots of things that you can do in order to address issues if you genuinely feel aggrieved. Where, however, you try and go and silence journalists and harass them, it's really, really important that political parties also come out, speak to the importance of this ruling, and commit themselves to operating and playing within the boundaries of our democratic dispensation. It doesn't mean that it limits their right to freedom of expression in any meaningful way beyond saying you can't harass and violate others' rights. It does mean that you say we want to entrench our democracy, we are open to robust debate, etc., but we're not going to try and silence someone just because we don't like them.
And before I let you go, William, would this then be the last we hear from the former president on this matter?
No, it looks as though, we've already seen a post from the Zuma Foundation saying that they're going to be appealing this ruling. Obviously, they'll have to, they'll take their time to read it and then lodge their grounds for appeal, and it'll be up to the court to see if they're going to give them their appeal. But I imagine that if they can, they'll find a ground and then they'll appeal. I think in the long run, the most likely outcome of that appeal will be a further costs order against them.
That's William Bird joining us live this afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. We're going to move on to this now.